Now see, this cover, we're just going to take this off here, and I noticed it's a fairly new cover. It's a vinyl one, and it's kind of a little bit bigger than the standard ones, and I don't know if that's because it's covering something up or not. Okay, that's in a cut-in box. I see a couple things already. This is in a cut-in box, and see the ears, the tabs right there. Now, if you've seen my videos before, you know what I do with the cut-in box, don't you? I take those tabs off, and we're going to have to do that with our new plug. Our new plug, I call it a plug. Some people laugh at me and say, hey, it's not a plug. It's an outlet receptacle. Okay, so what I've got to do is I'm just going to unscrew that out of the wall. This is a pretty easy project. Now, before you start this, you want to make sure that the power's off, obviously. You can plug a light in here, make sure the light is working, or a radio or something like that. Go out to your breakers and start turning your breakers off. It should be a 20 amp breaker or a 15 amp breaker. Okay, this was under a 20 amp breaker. I've got that off. I double checked everything. The reason why I've got light here is because I've got an extension cord hooked up to a light. So I got some light here, and that's hooked up in the kitchen because that circuit is still working. Okay, I'm going to pull this out here. Each plug could be slightly different because this is a cut-in box. I know they've added this before, and this house is probably, oh, I don't know, 35, 40 years old, maybe older. 50 years old. Okay, I'm told 50 years old. And more times than not on something like that, well, all times, these boxes are going to be metal. Okay, so I can see that this wire has been added from before. And see, there's no ground wire hooked up to the plug. But because this has been added before, there's a ground wire inside the box that somebody tied together. You see there? They tied it together, but they didn't hook it up to the plug, did they? All right. Man, you guys, you're going to learn a little bit extra on this plug. I'm going to show you a different plug on top of this one when I get done with this one, so you can see how to hook it up to a metal box. That's what I really wanted to show you. Enough of that. Okay. Now, for the time being, I'm not really going to worry about this too much. I'm just going to undo these screws. And if you think the wire is long enough, you can always cut this off. But see, this one down here doesn't stick out of the wall very far. See how much longer this wire is? Okay. So I could cut this top wire off if I want. That. It's going to still be plenty long. I don't want to do that down here because then it's going to be shorter. Shorter to the wall. I'm hardly going to be able to reach it, aren't I? Okay, so just going to unscrew that. And if you want, so you can grab the wire with a small screwdriver and twist it a little bit to get it off. Okay, but I'm going to show you a different way to do that too. Because if this wire is really super tight, we could keep it right like that and leave the little curly Q on it. We can take this screw right here and unscrew it. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go ahead and unscrew it. That way I still have my curly Q on there. Does that make sense? I'll get back to that in a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew these now. And when you back off these screws, it might seem like they get kind of tight. Well, you can unscrew them all the way. And it feels tight, but you just keep going. And man, I'm seeing on here, whoever installed this, the wires are curly cued on here, and they're actually curly cued going the wrong way. We'll fix that. I'm going to fix that too. Okay. I'm just going to take these screws off of here. I'll look at this. We can fix the curlicues, but I just wanted to show you there's different ways you can do it. Take that out, leave the curlicue on there if you want. I'm gonna get this box all situated. I'm gonna pull this all apart. I've got the ground wire here. See how it's like this? Let's just start from scratch with this. And I want to try to get everything nice and straight here. So I've got my little electrical cutters here. You can use some pliers on this too. I'm just trying to straighten out the ground wire a little bit. Okay. Now see, I didn't know I was going to come across this, and I'm glad I've got my crimper here, my splice caps, because I can use those for that. If I didn't have any splice caps and I got the wire, I could do something with that too. I'll explain that in a minute. Okay, I know this one's way long. What I like to do is try to keep the black lengths the same and the whites the same. Okay, so see how this one here is really short with this curlicue on here, and the curlicue isn't exactly how I want it, so I'm just going to bend that out. I'm going to straighten it. Because it's copper, you work out a little bit, you're not going to break it off. If you go back and forth 20 times or something, yeah, you'll probably snap it off. Okay, I'm going to straighten that off. So see, now I can cut this other black wire maybe a little bit longer than the other one. Okay. These cutters don't seem to work too well, do they? I'm just situating things in the box for now. If you've installed new plugs before, this is going to be fairly simple for you, okay? Because it's pretty much no different than that. And actually on this one here, I'm going to go ahead and actually, you know what? I'm going to leave this curlicue on there. Now, I'm going to straighten it out because the curlicue is not, it's too big. I'm going to redo that. We'll find another plug that maybe is in a metal box, and I'll show you a trick on those, okay? So pretty much this is almost like a brand new box, right? Except I'm gonna look at this white wire. I'm gonna cut this one to length. The other white wire. I got my ground just a little bit longer, and before I go any further, okay, this is all you want for right now. So far, so good.